in the last 15 years, 70%, 65 to 70% of all the pharmacological and all the surgical procedures that we use today have been designed and invented in the last 15 years. I did a program for a drug company, and at the head table of the drug company is the president of the drug company. And to his immediate right, the most important slot was the vice president of human resources. Was not the vice president of sales, was not the vice president of R&D, the vice president of people. And that's what change is all about. When we talk about riding the waves without getting wet, it's all about people. All of a sudden, different people are calling the shots. Isn't that true? In the olden days, they had a department called personnel. Some of you may remember that term, personnel. And basically, if somebody didn't have a personality and couldn't get along with people, you stuck them in personnel. That's what they want. Huh? Then we had a department that was called data processing. And that was for the people that didn't get along with people and they couldn't dress. Right? They went to data processing. Now it's called information technology. And then also back in the olden days, if somebody drank a little bit too much, you stuck them in sales. Well, I guess some things never change. You're on the telephone and somebody appears in front of your desk and you're on the telephone and you say, "Can't you see him on the telephone, you idiot?" I mean, not that complicated. And then the person starts doing this. We all been there? It's that important. From now on, when that happens, what I want you to do is give him the finger. Give him nothing. This is the finger. Right? This is the finger. This finger means I'm on the phone for 1 minute. Sit down. This means I'm on for 5. Go get a cup of coffee and come back. This means I'm on for the rest of your life. Called the bye-bye. If you adopt these as a group, nobody gets upset. And I mean, quite honestly, if I want to talk to you about something important, Gail, and you give me the bye-bye, you're not going to be able to give me your undivided attention. And you may set a rule that if you bye-bye somebody, you have to get back by the end of the day. You have to send them an email. But I mean, simple enough things. And if everybody knows what the techniques are, it saves lots of time. Do any of you work with people that I call ploppers? You know what ploppers are? Ploppers are those kinds of people that come into your office and they plop. You know how those people are? Especially if you're a boss, right? If you're a boss, those people come into your office and they plop. Because here's what they've realized. If I'm plopping in front of the boss's desk, I'm working. I'm getting paid for it. Right? Now, I used to have a lot of people work for me, and I had a lot of ploppers. And I want to tell you about two of my favorite kind of ploppers. One kind of plopper I had is the sky is falling plopper. Right? No matter what happened, an ad, something would come in the newspaper, this would update your resumes, we're all going to be out of work tomorrow. Right? That kind of plopper. And when he would get to me, he would always be out of breath. You know, just had to get this information to me. Just had to get this information to me. And so when he would come in, I picked up the phone. Who was on the telephone? Nobody. But when I saw Frank, he was always red in the face, out of breath. I'd put my hand over and I'd say, "Frank, I've got the president of the company on the phone. And I'm in meetings all day. I can see how important this is for you. I'll meet with you tonight after work at 7:30. Ew. Frank just got detention. Now, I also readjusted it whether Frank was a morning person or an afternoon person. Because I had some people that what they did is they screeched into the parking lot, ran and punched in, then went to their desk and sat there and ate their cereal. All right? Those people were not morning people. So what I would say to that person is, I can see how important this is, and I'm tied up all day tomorrow. Today, I'll tell you what, tomorrow 5:30, I'll buy you breakfast, Waffle House. What could be better than that? I'm even buying that person breakfast. You know what that person realized? Ooh, this is not a good place to plop. Not a good place to go. Now, the other person I had was my person I called the corporate conscience. They were the person that knew everybody's business. You know what I mean? Oh, no, you can't send them on a trip together because 20 years ago they had a little love thing and there was some drinking and too much. You know, the people that know all of this stuff, right? All of that information that, oh, man, you want to hear it. Don't you? I mean, it's great, but you're not really supposed to. And when that person would come in and feel that they had to give me this information, they had to plop here, I would look at that person and I'd say, you know what? In corporate America today, there's an awful lot of people that have no concern about their coworkers. All they care about themselves is themselves, and they're selfish. He said, but after you telling me this, it shows me that you have a genuine concern for your coworkers. It shows me you also have a little extra time to notice these issues. So for somebody like you who cares enough about people and has a little extra time, I know you're the person that we're signing up for the United Way volunteer. I mean, how do they say no? How many people saw the movie Perfect Storm? Do you remember the scene where they talked about making the turn? When you got real rough seas, what you try to do is you ride with those waves. That's what you're trying to do. When you decide to turn around and go the other way, if you don't do it well, you can be completely overwhelmed by the wave. Completely overwhelmed by the wave. And that's why making the turn is such an important deal. And how many of us are afraid to make the turn? How many of us haven't tried the new marketing campaign? Haven't called the big fish client because we knew somebody else had them? Haven't asked the 3 stupid questions to the client who might tell you, I've got 3 more people that might be interested in your services? All because, in many cases, of fear. What's the best predictor of a long life? Best predictor of a long life? People say genes, people say your diet, people say whether or not you smoke tobacco. Here's what the American Association of Gerontology discovered. Here's what they found. The greatest predictor of a long life is if you like your job. The greatest predictor of a long... There's a lot of people, well, I better quit right now, okay? The greatest predictor... Oh my gosh, I mean, this is killing me. The greatest predictor of a long life is if you like your job. You're gonna live longer. Isn't that kind of interesting? Now, of course, eating the right foods and not smoking and all of that stuff, but if you like what you do every day, you're gonna live longer. People do stuff because they feel rewarded for it. I had a sales force, and I was supposed to grade these people from 100 to 0. Now, I want you to think about this. If I gave a salesperson a 60 on something, what's the chances of that person getting on a plane and flying back to California and taking somebody to breakfast for me? I just told that person they were a failure. Okay? Now, I'm not an educator. I'm a sales manager. I never gave anything less than an 80. And basically, they look at it and go, that's kind of like a B-. Well, C+, whatever. They were willing to work to improve it. I also never gave anything above a 99. And here's what I said. In order for you to get something above a 99, you have to do something presidential. And every one of them went, cool. Now, none of them asked me, what do you mean by presidential? They just went, cool. And for 2 years, I never gave 100. And then I had one salesperson named Joel who managed to get to the United States Coast Guard Academy in New London, Connecticut. We had just made a major sale to the Coast Guard. And he managed to get a picture of President Ronald Reagan looking through one of our probes in front of the Commandant of the Coast Guard Academy. And we made the front page of the Boston Globe and the Hartford Courant. And that salesperson brought both of those newspapers in, slammed them down on my desk and said, is this presidential enough for you? 107! 107! Not pretty cool? If you ask people to do something presidential, they just might. When somebody says something to you, it means something to them. This means a lot to me. You've been a wonderful audience. God bless. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.